Welcome to another episode of The Boat Show. Tonight we're sailing the high seas thanks to the sailing community here in South-East Queensland. We catch up with Rob Mundell, author, commentator and esteemed sailor.
I went to try to assist the foredeck crew to get that back under control, and I went over the side in the middle of the night.
We head to Manly to see the sailing schools at the Royal Queensland Yachting Squadron and Darling Point. And we meet some of the wags. Wednesday afternoon, go sailing. First, here's your Boat Show panel.
Hi, we're back here at the Boat Show, and today we're talking about sailing and dispelling some of the myths about getting into sailing and who it is that actually sails. Matt, you were saying before that you had something coming up?
Yeah,
that involved kids and sailing.
Yeah, we've got a family day out up at Lake Somerset there, where we'll get some of the sailing boats out for a day, a picnic, and get the kids on the water for a bit of fun. And hopefully a bit of splashing and no capsizing.
In maybe the mind of the public, who's the typical sailor?
I guess too, you think of the Cup over in Valencia, and
I think so. You've got the
America's Cup.
You've got the elite sailors, you know, and round the world sailers like Jessica Watson and those sort of people.
And they certainly know what they're doing, and they've certainly got sponsors and funding. And we were talking about Rolex. Do you think that intimidates a lot of people who might not know one end of the boat from another?
Well, I guess if you thought about it in the context of cars, you know, you've got the elite, you know, Formula One races, and that's kind of where some of those guys are, you know, the big Sydney to Hobart yachts and those sort of things.
It doesn't stop you from buying a Datsun.
Not at all. Not at all. And if you go down to like Manly on Wednesday afternoon, you'll just see a myriad of small sailing boats out there. So, you know, it's really the every person's recreation.
Well, according to the figures, the biggest active group of sailors is children, kids, and that's through the school programs, programs like Little Tackers. Apparently there are 14 Little Tackers groups around Australia, and they're going to be blooming and blossoming this year, so that's great. What is the appeal of sailing? What do you think is in it for young people getting into
I think there's probably a book we could write on that. I mean, the biggest thing I think for a lot of those children is that degree of freedom. You know, there's the inspirational sailors, Jessica Watsons, and then there's the elite, the sports. So depending on your mindset, I think the sailing from a Sabo, which is relatively slow, to a Laser, which is relatively fast, which are both very small boats, you know, caters for a diverse range of children. So I think to get out there and be on the water and be free, and also see your dad. We're out there. Yeah,
well, they can't drive, can they?
No,
they're too young to drive.
Exactly.
But children as young as 8 for $15 an hour, they don't even have to have their own equipment, can just turn up at a sailing club and learn.
Be part of it.
And it's a great skill set for them to learn, you know, having their little toolbox and filling it full of all these things that they're achieving. And to be able to go to school and say, oh, I can sail to here and I can do that and I can do this, and hey Dad, come and watch me. And a lot of the kids that are in those programs now, their parents aren't sailors. You know, they're having a go at this, and now next minute, Dad, we've got to buy one of those, you know, I want to go and do this. And next minute it brings that family unit together.
And it doesn't have to be $1 million performance sailing vessel. I mean, you can get second-hand boats for around $1,000. So it compares favourably to tennis or any of the sports that children get into. Certainly cheaper than motocross, fewer head injuries, unless you're me.
That's that perception, isn't it? The perception of of cost. That sailing is seen as an elite sport with the likes of Audi and the Round the World and the Volvo race cups and things.
But clubs actually have the equipment
absolutely
on hand for you to use, and they upgrade them. You don't have to buy the sounders and the GPS units, and you don't even have to buy the personal flotation equipment. They have it all there.
That's right.
Do you know anything about the schools programs and Yachting Australia youth programs in Queensland?
Yeah, Yachting Australia have quite a comprehensive program that they run through a lot of the state and private schools, and they encourage kids. It's also a subject at school, so an elective subject, where they actually go out and learn all of the skills associated with sailing. And for some of them, they can also do a power boating component as well and get a boat licence through those programs. But there's a couple of streams that they can go into. There's the skills programs, which is just about learning how to sail. But then they can also go into the sports stream, so they can do competitive racing and those sorts of things as well.
And again, it's not limited to a certain age group or a skill level or an ability. There are actual boats that have been recommissioned, if you like, for people in wheelchairs or people with disabilities.
Yeah, they have a program called Sailability Program, which is aimed at people with physical disabilities. So there's really no limitation, you know, that anyone of any sort of physical stature or size or shape can get out there.
Jessica Watson proved that.
That's right.
She's not exactly built like a robust sailor, and yet she conquered
right around the world.
Yeah.
In all sorts of weather. So,
that's right. Yeah. And believe it or not, at the boat shows last year, they were saying that Jessica increased the children's interest in sailing by hundreds of fold, because they were just fascinated as to what the options were. So we should capitalise on that, I'd say.
Getting your feet wet with sailing is simple and anyone can try, young or old. Royal Yachting Squadron and Darling Point Sailing School offer a variety of classes and courses for all levels of experience. Imagine spending the day out in the water learning a new sport whilst taking in the fine Moreton Bay region.
My name's Jenny Anderson and I run the Learn to Sail program here at Darling Point Sailing Squadron. So that's where we are, down at Manly, just on the edge of Manly Harbour. We've got a Learn to Sail program that runs for approximately 6 weeks, where we get young kids into sailing. Ages range from 5 to 13, right up to adults. The aim of the program is to get kids into sailing, get them outdoors, introduce them to the sport, and hopefully they go on to our more advanced program, which is our Dolphins program, which we also run on a Sunday morning, where we take the kids out and teach them how to race. Once they learn how to race through the Dolphins program, they progress through to afternoon racing, which is held here every Sunday. Get to the point, get down to Darling Point and have some fun!
The club started in the 1930s over on Darling Point and was moved here in the 1970s to Norfolk Point at the entrance to Manly Harbour. We have a number of classes that sail here, ranging from sabots through to 125s, cherubs, 13-foot skiffs and 16-foot skiffs. We run a Learn to Sail program Sunday mornings, where we get kids into sailing, and then from that Learn to Sail program the children move on to the Dolphins program, which is getting them out in little sabots, flying 11 small boats, teaching them the skills of sailing, which will then enable them to move on to racing in the afternoons. We race Sunday afternoons at 2 o'clock from September through to April.
With calm sheltered waters, even on the most overcast of days, the whole experience is both fun and relaxing. Anyone can learn to sail, and with Manly Harbour so close to Brisbane, it's easier than you think.
I think today you can see how easy it is to get into sailing. You know, it's not all about new boats and super yachts. We've got kids out here sailing around in sabots that their grandfathers have built them, and second-hand vagabonds which the club has picked up quite cheap. Today we've seen the kids out here sailing, doing some tacking, some jibing, learning about how to trim the sails, and I think you've seen that they're all having a go at steering the boats, and they're doing it quite well. I myself started sailing about 14 years ago at a little club called the Keppel Bay Sailing Club in Yeppoon. Got dragged along by my best mate who saw an advertisement in the newspaper, which is one of the easiest ways to get involved. See an ad, go down to your local sailing club and get some information on how to do it. For a list of your local sailing clubs, visit the Yachting Queensland website, qldyachting.org.au, and there's a list of all the clubs and training centres throughout Queensland who will be able to help you out.
So head online to make an inquiry at your local boat club to see where your closest sailing school is. The organisations will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have about getting started. And don't forget to check out Marine Queensland online for any other information about sailing schools near you. We'll catch up with another local sailing school, the Royal Queensland Yachting Squadron, right after this.